And with that, I have our fourth and final fantastic expert presenter about to come on stage with me here. I'm going to introduce you to Andy Redman, who is the Director of America's Solution Engineering at Progress. Andy, I look forward to your presentation. And one more quick reminder to everyone, there is, of course, that $50 best question gift card up for grabs for each session. So throw up your questions for Andy. We're going to have Q&A with him right after he presents. And Andy, with that, I'm going to hand things over to you. Are you ready?
Terrific. Yes, I am.
All right, take it away.
Fantastic. Well, everyone, welcome to this session where we will explore best practices for how to detect, investigate, and respond to cyber threats. My name, of course, is Andy Redman, and I'm the Director of America's Solution Engineering with Progress Software. I manage a wonderful team of very talented solution architects who really specialize in a few different areas. One is DevSecOps automation with audit and compliance. Another is secure application publishing in multi-cloud environments. Another one is award-winning infrastructure management solutions. And then finally, NetSecOps specialists as well. This team is truly fantastic. As a quick introduction into Progress software, Progress's portfolio of industry-leading solutions are really focused on enabling our customers to develop the applications that they need, to deploy them how they want, and to manage them safely and securely. Now, regarding our customers, who are they? This is a great question, considering you may not know that Progress software is actually an essential part of the largest companies on the planet. Progress is essential to their business operations. The top 10 companies, tech companies, rely on Progress. We are essential to their actual business operations. 70% of all Fortune 500 companies are consuming Progress solutions as well. Now, the 30 largest companies in the world are also Progress companies, customers. And it's not surprising considering Progress software has an amazing portfolio of essential business solutions. Additionally, and it's really important to note, we have a 3.5 million plus thriving developer community. So now that you know a little bit more about me and Progress, let's dig into the meat of the webinar. Okay. The webinar will cover the following agenda items. An introduction. Okay, excellent. We've already covered who Progress is and who I am, so let's move on. The threat landscape overview. We're going to talk about numerous different mechanisms leveraged to execute attacks in the threat landscape. We're also going to discuss perhaps what are some of the historic challenges organizations face, but also the challenges that present themselves today. Challenges are changing and becoming more sophisticated. Hence, we need to know what they are so that we can be prepared for a proper response. We will also highlight current tools that security operations centers, SOCs, leverage and discuss if there's an important gap in tooling that needs to be rectified. I'm going to suggest now that there is a gap. We're going to take a closer look at Flowmon NDR. So network detection and response enables an important lens into threat actor movement, coupled with facilitating a means to respond to active threats in order to mitigate risk. What about the cost of a data breach? There is a cost associated to every breach, and in most cases, the cost of a breach is far greater than the actual investment to stop the breach. There is plenty of evidence to support my claim, and we'll discuss it. Finally, we'll finish up with a discussion on best practices. As one of my coworkers says to me frequently, buckle up, Buttercup, let's get going. The threat landscape today is fairly ripe. There's a mix of elements involved in this landscape. Ransomware happens every 11 seconds or so. Orgs which experience ransomware are prone to a second or third attack per reported breach data. I believe the number of second and third attacks is in the high 70% range based upon the research that I've done. That's pretty staggering to me. So there's a clear takeaway, and it's pretty simple. Gaps in breach protection are not contained, and sleeper cells may still remain in the environment. Malware, the source of so many attacks. Malware can come into the environment through numerous different methods. They can be through a social campaign, an insider threat, or other mechanisms. Supply chain. Well, if we're all to stop and think about it, the world did change after SolarWinds. Not because virus, bad actors, black hats, or any other malicious act was new, but it changed because of how the real issue of software supply chain safety and security was. Phishing. Come on, just click that link. Well, upwards of 80% of all malware-based ransom attacks are a direct result of someone clicking this or clicking that, even with constant guidance from corporate IT or the company CISO telling them not to. And this data comes directly from Verizon's data breach investigations report. I wish that when I went fishing, I was so blessed to catch something. I love seafood. What about cryptojacking? The interesting thing about the threat actors leveraging your computers and servers for their crypto mining enrichment is that they leverage those endpoint servers as what I'll term the first step in a multi-staged attack on your infrastructure. Once their software is on your endpoints, basically your computers, your servers, it's basically game on for additional malware attacks leading to data breach. IoT. So many insecure edge devices can become further attack elements or endpoints in your environment. How do you know when they are being used? Do you have a lens into their use? Okay, insider threats. Just take this thumb drive and plug it in. We'll do the rest of the work. This is a common attack method leveraged. It's really a simple way for an employee to gain some extra funds, even if they aren't disgruntled and love their work, but simply want to make an extra 10 grand or so for an easy bit of work. Add to that list the threat of artificial intelligence leveraged to automate various types of attacks and response actions. Mitigating risk can appear to be very challenging. However, there is wonderful news, and the truth is, according to the 2023 IBM Cost of a Data Breach report, organizations that use security AI and automation extensively within their approach experienced, on average, a 108-day shorter time to identify and contain a breach. They also reported, on average, a 1.76 million lower data breach cost compared to organizations that didn't use security AI and automation capabilities. So the average dwell time of a threat actor within an organization's environment is approximately 277 days. Now, if you could invest far less than 1.76 million to mitigate risk in its infancy, why wouldn't you do that? Threat actors leverage AI, but so can you. Okay, so in 2015, cybersecurity operations faced a significant hurdle, the lack of visibility. Back then, organizations struggled to gain insights into their network activities, making it difficult to detect and respond to threats effectively. This lack of visibility left security teams in the dark and really unable to identify potential risks lurking within their systems. Fast forward to 2024, and the landscape has transformed dramatically. We now find ourselves dealing with a different kind of challenge, event overload. With the proliferation of connected devices, cloud services, and shadow IT sprawling, coupled with digital transactions being leveraged, security operations teams are truly inundated with an overwhelming volume of alerts and events daily. This leads to several challenges we face today. Firstly, security teams no longer have a single correlated view of their environment. Instead, they are bombarded with thousands of alerts from disparate systems, making it nearly impossible to gain a comprehensive understanding of their security posture. So with so many alerts to sift through, security analysts struggle to prioritize and investigate each one thoroughly. This makes it challenging to identify and respond to real attacks in a timely manner, leaving organizations vulnerable to prolonged breaches and data loss. Adding to the complexity is the shortage of security talent. Despite the growing demand for skilled cyber professionals, there simply aren't enough qualified individuals to meet the needs of organizations worldwide. It's a real shame. So let's talk a little bit more about event overload. So what are the consequences of alert overload on security operations? The staggering statistics paint a concerning picture of the challenges faced by security teams in managing the influx of alerts. Firstly, a remarkable 55% increase has been observed in organizations experiencing more than 10,000 alerts per day. So this avalanche of alerts overwhelms security analysts, making it nearly impossible to manually review each one thoroughly. It just doesn't happen. In response to this overwhelming volume, 57% of orgs have implemented policies to reduce alert volume. Okay, that sounds good, I think. Okay, while these policies are aimed at alleviating the burden on security teams, they often result in missing critical alerts amidst the noise. So a significant 54% of security professionals report an experience of high stress and frustration due to alert overload. This constant barrage of alerts leads to what I'll term alert fatigue, where analysts become desensitized and may actually overlook critical security events. Faced with the latest development in IT infrastructures, perhaps made even worse by recent global events, security admins may find that their existing tools give them visibility that is at best nebulous and not just because of the cloud. Even though endpoint protection consumes a substantial part of the security budget, what happens? Breaches still happen and sensitive data gets stolen. Moreover, endpoint visibility is not always complete. How many servers are actually covered? Or industrial or medical equipment? And now that many staff members work remotely and service providers receive greater access to company networks, can you really be sure users can be trusted and will keep their devices secure? Of course, security operations routinely use SIEMs or SIEMs to deal with such issues. Capable though they are, every SIEM is only as powerful as its data source. So without reliable feeds and sufficient coverage, the SIEM is blind. Attackers can also tamper with logs to mask their movements, and in some cases, logging may even be turned off to save up on performance. This means that there is a risk that threats are being missed among floods of false positives or are simply slipping through the visibility gaps. The line of thought has been picked up by Gartner, who has developed it into a concept which is called the SOC visibility triad, consisting of three complementary pillars. Two of the pillars are SIEM and endpoint detection and response, EDR, and the third is called network detection and response, or NDR. NDR adds the network perspective to the model and thus completes the SOC visibility triad. This is precisely where Flowmon resides, in the NDR, or network detection and response space. Detection, investigation, and response are the core elements of network detection and response. So regarding detection, there are a few key principles to note. Proactivity. This means constant vigilance and regular system checks. Integration. This applies unifying threat detection systems across all platforms and networks. And then adaptability. Systems must evolve to detect new and emerging threats. Well, what about the key elements in the investigation phase? You've got digital forensics. These are the techniques used for collecting and analyzing data to uncover evidence. Then there's the IRT, the incident response teams. These guys are specialized groups that manage the response to security breaches or attacks. And then there's the chain of custody. It's critical to ensure that all evidence is accurately documented and preserved for potential legal proceedings. This applies directly to the new SEC, or Security and Exchange Commission, cyber compliance rules that were recently put in place. So then, how do you respond to threats that will, and what will your threat response actually be? You need to have an IRP, or an incident response plan. This is a predefined set of guidelines for detecting, responding to, and recovering from security incidents. Then there's the communication protocol, ensuring timely and clear communication with the response team and to external stakeholders is absolutely essential. Then there's the post-incident review. This is really the postmortem, which is focused on analyzing the incident to learn from the breach and improve your future security posture. All right. Now, I previously highlighted Flowmon briefly as part of the SOC visibility triad. I would like to formally introduce you to Flowmon. Flowmon is a cutting-edge solution that revolutionizes network security with the power of AI, or artificial intelligence. Imagine having an AI-powered network security analyst at your fingertips, tirelessly monitoring your network all day and all night, 24/7, analyzing traffic patterns and identifying potential threats in real time. That's what Flowmon delivers. Flowmon delivers advanced threat detection, distilling thousands and thousands of alerts into a few security incidents that you should focus on. Flowmon delivers real-time insights and actionable intelligence, which fundamentally shortens the time to investigate attacks and automate responses to those attacks. Flowmon also delivers full observability into your hybrid and multi-cloud environments to facilitate smooth network operations and fast root cause analysis. These are a few of the wonderful things Flowmon delivers. Yes, there are more, but I can't cover all of them today, unfortunately. So how does Flowmon accomplish what it does so well? And this is really an excellent question. When you deploy a tool like Flowmon, what becomes very clear very quickly is the sheer magnitude of events being discovered. Now, it's important to note that these events may be legitimate and important cyber events to track, or they may simply be just noise. There is no way a security engineer can go through each of these events manually. That would take an enormous amount of time. We're talking tens of thousands at times. This is precisely why so many legitimate attacks are missed, considering the amount of event noise. Genuine attacks are buried in the noise. So how do you deal with this dynamic then? Well, the only way this challenge can be dealt with is through leveraging artificial intelligence to do the heavy lifting or distilling of thousands and thousands of events into a few incidents that require a forensic lens for further analysis. There are other mechanisms Flowmon leverages, such as machine learning, adaptive baselining, heuristics, and more. Flowmon has developed hundreds of proprietary algorithms and threat detection methods that enable it to boil down the magnitude of events into a threat index ranking for the SOC operator to focus on. You don't want to fiddle around with events that really have no relevance to a threat actor's cyber campaign. Get rid of the noise and focus on the relevant events. Okay then, what is the cybersecurity value here? You can minimize breach impact, monitor the network traffic to proactively alert on the compromise at an early stage so that breach dwell time can be reduced. Network traffic does not lie. Packets don't lie. Hence, it's your best source of truth for detecting relevant events. You need to reduce the number of events by connecting the dots between seemingly unrelated events to building an actual full picture of a security incident so that you can focus on the high priority ones. They will thank you when you increase tech staff's efficiency. You will be enabling less experienced team members with the ability to conduct complex investigations because the heavy lifting has been done with them by Flowmon. Okay, how do you gain more confidence in responding to incidents? Well, with noiseless insights and hard evidence on root cause, severity, damage, and impacted systems, remedial actions are done much more accurately. Finally, you need to equalize the protection of heterogeneous environments, cloud, hybrid, on-premise, or SaaS. It doesn't make sense to have a different process for every unique environment. It's hard enough to figure out in a single environment. Don't make it more complex by using different tools for different environments. Let's consider some accurate, eye-opening statistics. During a breach, the average cost is estimated to be $4.54 million. The average time to detect a breach is 56 days. For a few months, with no eyeballs on them, threat actors have a literal playground with no supervision to guard activity. The average dwell time of a threat actor in a network is 277 days. That's staggering. Picture this. By reducing detection time to just 2 hours, attackers have significantly less time to collect, encrypt, and exfiltrate data. Now, imagine cutting investigation time to just 1 hour. This allows for a faster response, minimizing lateral movement within the network. Now, with this level of intelligence, you can trigger more targeted responses, resulting in less operational and business impact. Instead of needing to recover 60 devices, you might only need to focus on 5. So let's consider the financial impact. Imagine reducing the cost of a data breach from the average of 4.5 mil down to $500,000. Now, with the cost of the Flowmon solution averaging a nominal $80,000, the return on investment, ROI, equals that of a single incident. It's actually far less than that. So by reducing detection and response times, organizations can significantly mitigate the financial and operational impact of data breaches. It's not just about protecting data. It's about safeguarding the viability and reputation of your organization. As promised, here are a number of best practices for you to keep in mind. Continuous vigilance. There needs to be regular monitoring and updating of security systems to stay ahead of evolving threats. You need to implement the proactive measures to detect anomalies and potential breaches. You do that through a product like Flowmon. What about cross-functional collaboration? There needs to be an established, clear communication channel and protocol for effective coordination among various teams involved in threat detection, investigation, and response. Regular training sessions are important to ensure all stakeholders are equipped to handle security incidents. Then there's threat intelligence integration, leveraging threat intelligence feeds and platforms to stay informed about emerging threats and attack vectors. It also means incorporating threat intelligence into security strategies to enhance detection and response capabilities. Then there's incident response preparedness, developing and regularly updating incident response plans, IRPs, that outline roles, responsibilities, and steps to be taken during security incidents, conducting tabletop exercises and simulations to test the effectiveness of these IRPs and improve response readiness. Then there's post-incident analysis and improvement, right? There's conducting thorough post-incident reviews, post-mortems, to identify gaps in security measures and response procedures. Then there's implementing corrective actions and process improvements based on lessons learned from security incidents. And then finally, compliance and regulatory adherence, ensuring compliance with relevant industry regulations and standards to mitigate legal and financial risks associated with security breaches. Regular audits are important and assessments to evaluate compliance with security standards and regulations. To summarize, you've learned a little bit about me, but more importantly about Progress Software and the types of organizations who consume and use Progress solutions. We discussed the current threat landscape, the real challenges that orgs have, what are core SOC tools. We examined Flowmon Network Detection and Response, or NDR, how much a data breach costs on average, and then we highlighted numerous best practices for you to consider. Thanks so much for investing your time with me today, and thank you kindly for your gracious attention throughout this session. Back over to you, Mackenzie.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was fantastic. I think you got people fired up with Flowmon and the use of AI here. So we might have a few questions about that. But before we dive into the questions, I'm just going to make sure everyone sees we've got a poll up here. So feel free to answer this. I know your fingers are ready to fire up and go. And this one here is, how are you protecting your organization against threat actors who are continuously evolving threats? So please do answer that now. And then I'm going to give you a minute to answer that, and then I'll have another poll just on your timeframes and any additional resources you're looking for from Progress. I feel like maybe I'm going to play the Canadian card here, and I don't know how to say progress or progress. You'll have to give me your way, Andrew. It's a lifelong battle.
Either works as long as you're saying it.
All right, there we go. Progress. We got it. Quick question. So we have in the handouts tab a link, and this link goes to kind of like a simulation, I believe, for the Flowmon AI, and you stop the breach. Can you tell me about this? How does this work?
Yeah, fantastic. So there is a link, and basically it's what we call a guided tour. And there's two aspects of it. When you click the link, you'll be taken to this interface online, and you've got the ability of looking at a network detection and response, basically a cyber security based simulation of how the Flowmon tool actually works and how it gives you the requisite insight that you need to make decisions really quickly. The other aspect is NPM, or Network Performance and Monitoring and Diagnostic. Basically, if you have a performance related issue within your environment, the core of the Flowmon tool is brilliant network telemetry, and you'll be able to see quickly how you can root cause performance-related issues incredibly quickly. We're talking lickety-split fast in your environment. So that's what that guided tour is all about.
Awesome. Yeah, so if you haven't clicked that already, if you're out in the audience, hop into the handouts tab. You'll see that pop up right away. Really cool resource. If you don't have time to flick through it now, or you want to pay attention to the questions, just earmark that. So if you do want to interact with it later, you've got it handy. And with that, I'm going to close out this poll for anyone who hasn't answered. I'll give you like 5 seconds and then flip over to our final poll of the day. But with that, Andrew, you ready to answer some questions I've kind of picked through on Flowmon here?
Sure, let's dig in.
Okay, first one is how does Flowmon integrate with other security tools like SIM?
Yeah, brilliant question. So actually, Flowmon is the SIM's best friend. And the reason for that is because Flowmon has brilliant network telemetry. When you implement Flowmon into a network, it sees every single endpoint, who they're talking to, what they're talking about, and there's a seamless connection between Flowmon's incredibly extendable. There's a seamless connection between Flowmon and the SIM. And it's basically feeding that SIM with brilliant information about what's happening in the environment.
Wow. Okay, cool. Um, Question here related to scalability. So it says, I'm concerned about scalability. How can Flowmon adapt to growing network environments?
Yeah, excellent question. Because when you're talking about geo-based dispersed systems that are multi-cloud in nature, where you've got stuff on-prem, you've got stuff in multiple different clouds, and you've done that across multiple different geographic regions, you need a single pane of glass to be able to visualize what's happening in each of those respective environments. We have customers that are literally monitoring 300 million endpoints, both from a network performance standpoint and from a security standpoint as well, with thorough integration into third-party SIM products as well. So the product scales from very small environments to incredibly large environments because it's actually next generation flow based, not packet based in its nature. So it's incredibly lightweight in how it scales. Great question.
All right, nice. Okay, I'm going to combine a few kind of mixed queries. So one here is about kind of Flowmon's accuracy of detection, and another one brings up that, AI is really only as good as the data it's being fed. So how are you weeding out bad data? So kind of, data accuracy and general accuracy of detection, if you can spread some light
Terrific.
on that.
Not a problem whatsoever. I made a statement in the session and I said, the network traffic is your best source of truth. Packets don't lie. They are your brilliant source of truth. And so what we do is we basically take our probes in a network environment. We extract raw packet from the network. We convert that to a super lightweight flow. So the accuracy of what we do from an actual source of truth standpoint is top rate and highly scalable. Now, we've developed a passive signature-less based product. We can operate with signatures like IDS or MISP or other third-party, feeds into the system, but we've developed these algorithms that are directly basically mapped to the MITRE ATT&CK framework, which is basically the systematic approach a threat actor would make in a network to try and find that really high value data to then exfiltrate it. Our system is based on a passive consumption of that raw network traffic. And basically, we've developed these algorithms and methods that allow us to see systematically. For example, if a laptop was infected at a coffee shop, it was brought into the corporate network, it was plugged in. What's that laptop going to try and do? It's going to try and find out who are the hosts on the network. Where is that storage? And there are very basic baseline methods by which that threat actor is going to leverage in a network setting to try and find that storage to exfiltrate it. And we see every endpoint. We see every single thing they're doing. We're baselining all of their communication. So we see if someone tries to do a scan, we see that real time, and we can mitigate risk basically instantly.
Wow. Okay. You guys, this is some sophisticated tooling here. I love it. Okay, I think we're almost at time, but how about I give you one final question here? This one is about deployment options for Flowmon. So I'm curious about the deployment options. Can it be implemented on-prem, in the cloud, or in a hybrid environment?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, that's a really good question. We have customers that are global in nature that have stuck Flowmon devices in, take for instance, Google Cloud, GCP, and they are actually sending flow data from their native network devices, routers, switches, firewalls, etc., from on-premise environments directly into the cloud. They're doing analysis of that. They're also, they've got an extensive amount of virtual private cloud environments, AWS, Google Cloud, etc., and they're consuming what are called native flow logs within those environments that give a subset of detail included within those native flow logs. It can be installed on premise in hardware and virtualized environments. The brilliant thing about Flowmon is that you can deploy a virtual collector, a virtual Flowmon device in a virtualized environment and then pull in native flow from existing networking devices without doing anything else in your environment, and have a brilliant lens into what's happening on the network at a very low cost standpoint.
Amazing. Okay, I'm being a little cheeky, but I'm going to throw you one more question from
Sure.
Marek. What is the time from signing to implementing the tool? So
Yeah,
what's that
that's a
turnaround?
very good question. So here's the thing. Most of the time POCs are done, right? Customers want to see, hey, I've got raw data. I want to see what your solution is going to tell me about my own environment. And so when we go through that POC, once we've deployed the virtual image, for example, once we've IP addressed it and done the basic configuration, it's basically when we start sending flow data to the product, it starts analyzing that via AI machine learning instantly. So a nominal 30 minutes after we've pulled in data, we can root cause performance problems basically instantly, because we'll see all the traffic in the environment if we're getting the right flow data to the collector. Now, there are times where it takes a little bit longer because of extensive networks, and we have to deploy like a virtual or a hardware probe in the environment to extract that flow data, because the network gear doesn't have the requisite information in the flow records that are important for us to see. That would take just a little bit more time, but we believe, the quickest time to visualizing performance or cyber related issues on the planet. And we can prove it.
Incredible. Okay, amazing. So I do have to let you go, but if someone wants to get started right away, other than going through that kind of walkthrough demo in the handouts tab, where should they go? How do they contact you? What's the best first step?
Yeah, brilliant question. Andy.Redman, Redman, Andy.Redman at progress.com.
Thank you for accommodating my pronunciations.
You betcha, bro.
It's like tomato, tomato. I don't know. Alrighty. That's amazing. So yeah, feel free to hit up Andy direct by email. Again, handouts tab for that walkthrough of Flowman, and check it out. Flowmon, rather. I'm giving you all the mixes. And with that, thank you for being here today, Andy.
Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too. Take good care. Cheers.